Most people will never achieve financial freedom, not because they're lazy or incapable, but because the system is built to prevent it from happening. This structure keeps you occupied, distracts your mind, and holds you in just enough comfort that you never push back. And by the time people finally realize the game is unfair, it's usually too late to take action. No one ever taught them the rules. That's the truth nobody talks about. Society tells you to budget, work hard, buy a house, and invest in the market. They claim that discipline alone will lead to financial freedom. But let's be honest, discipline by itself doesn't create wealth. If it did, every nurse, teacher, and factory worker who saved their entire life would retire rich. But they don't. And the reason isn't effort, it's the architecture of the system. True financial freedom isn't just about money, it's about control, time, options, and security. It's the ability to say no to a boss, a bill, or a crisis. This kind of freedom isn't given, it's built. And to build it, you must understand exactly what is holding people back. Looking at history, wealth was tied to land for most of human civilization. Land meant food, and food meant power. In medieval Europe, the majority of people worked land owned by someone else. They were called serfs, but in reality, they were workers trapped by hunger, debt, and rent. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? With the Industrial Revolution, people left the land but became dependent on wages. Fields were replaced by factories, yet the dynamic didn't change. Long hours, enough earnings to survive, and permanent dependency. In the 20th century, a new identity emerged. The middle class, people who could buy homes, raise families, and hope for retirement. But real freedom was still rare because everything from education to employment to consumer culture was designed to keep people working and spending for life. Entering the 21st century, productivity skyrocketed, technology advanced rapidly, yet real wages barely moved. The middle class shrank. Meanwhile, the cost of housing, healthcare, and education reached historic highs. Debt has become the default. Student loans, credit cards, auto loans, mortgages, medical bills. The average American household now carries a six-figure debt, and that's just the average. So ask yourself, who benefits from a society constantly making payments? And then there's inflation, slowly draining purchasing power. Today, $1 is worth half of what it was 2 decades ago. The proposed solutions are always the same. Print more money, lower interest rates, stimulate the economy. Yet each time, asset prices rise. Stocks, real estate, commodities. Those who already own assets get richer. Those who don't fall further behind. This isn't a flaw. This is how this system operates. Powered by debt, driven by inflation, sustained by confusion. The system teaches you to blame yourself. Can't save enough? Your fault. Can't buy a home? Work harder. Living paycheck to paycheck? Cut expenses. The system never takes responsibility. It just sells you more apps, courses, and products to keep you in the same cycle. And here's where the uncomfortable truth begins. Financial freedom requires more than income. It requires leverage. Most people never learn this. They work for money, trading time for wages. But real wealth works the opposite way. When money works for you, when assets generate income, when your time becomes optional. That's where freedom starts. Yet this is exactly what people are never taught. Most people aren't progressing. They're rotating in place. Get a job, take on debt, buy on credit, increase lifestyle costs, chase promotions, pay taxes, maybe retire. The problem isn't just the debt, it's the dependence. If you need your paycheck to survive, you can't take risks. If your life is financed by loans, you can't say no. If your identity is tied to consumption, you'll work forever to maintain an image you were conditioned to desire. Those who truly achieve financial freedom play a completely different game. They don't exchange time for money. They own, delegate, and multiply. They understand taxes, loopholes, trusts, corporate structures. They think in decades, not weeks. And they keep this knowledge out of reach for most people. Schools don't teach leverage. They don't explain how inflation transfers wealth upward. They don't reveal that passive income isn't a fantasy. It's the foundation of lasting wealth. Instead, they sell hustle culture, consumerism, and polished lifestyles. Work harder, grind longer, stay on the treadmill disguised as a journey. When you burn out, they sell you therapy, coffee, or weekend retreats, but never the truth. Financial freedom is an act of rebellion. It's refusing to live dependent on systems designed to control your time and energy. But you can't rebel against something you don't understand. That's why financial education isn't optional. It's the basis of sovereignty. Where does your money actually go each month? How much of your income depends on your labor? What skills can grow exponentially? What assets can you build or acquire? And most importantly, what can you remove from your life? Real wealth isn't about having more, it's about needing less. Not for aesthetics, but strategically. Every dollar saved is a seed planted. The average person reacts to money. The financially free person designs around it. They build buffers, anticipate volatility, understand price versus value. They don't chase the market, they position themselves ahead of it. History proves this. Families who kept wealth for generations did so through land, businesses, intellectual property, and income-producing assets. Their inheritance wasn't just money, it was a mindset. Meanwhile, everyone else is conditioned to consume, earn, spend, repeat. Be grateful if you have a job. Be ashamed if you don't. Borrow for school, borrow for a car, borrow for a house, but never ask who profits. Never ask how money is created. Never ask why. But now you're questioning, and that's the first crack in the illusion. A real roadmap. True progress isn't flashy or viral. It doesn't make you rich overnight, but it works. Cut the burdens that weaken you. Downsize, sell things, move somewhere cheaper. Every bit of regained flexibility is reclaimed power. Not just investments, assets. Skills that have market value, businesses that grow beyond your time, investments that produce income, networks that create opportunity. Think long-term. Compound relentlessly. Turn down the noise. News hysteria, ads, fear, manipulation. Study history, understand systems, learn how incentives shape behavior. Real power multiplies when it spreads. As more people understand the rules, the game changes. Most people never reach financial freedom, not because they can't, but because no one ever showed them how. They were handed a script called life and punished whenever they stepped outside it. But you don't have to follow that script. You can write your own. It begins with clarity, grows with control, and ends with true freedom. Not fantasy freedom, real freedom. The kind where you choose how you spend your days, where crises don't destroy you, and where money becomes a tool, not a master. It's difficult, but absolutely possible. And it starts now. If this opened your eyes, hit subscribe. History holds the answers. I'll show you where to find them.